Hey everyone. Before we start, just a quick confirmation. Can you hear me and see my feed as well? Just if you could type yes in the chat window so we can move on. Yes, so we have only one yes till now. Some more confirmations, please. Okay, yeah. So it seems like we have a good feed. So just before starting, one thing we're going to have of course, the AMA session. So we're going to have a question. We are going to have time for questions at the end. I think after Ravi and Samir are going to speak for about 20-30 minutes, and then we're going to have all the remaining time for questions. So please raise your hand. We'll questions to people who raise their hand for questions. And if we have time, we'll cover the questions in the questions tab of the chat window. Without further ado, I'd like to call Ravi onto the stage so we can introduce the webinar and Samir itself. Thanks.
Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back. This is the second of our series of the AMA. I'm very honored to have a very dear friend and a very respectable person in this ecosystem, Samir Kumar from Inventus Capital. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to take a few minutes just to give you a sense of what THub is and give you a sense of why we are doing these webinars and what are the kinds of webinars we do. And then I'll turn it over to Samir so that he can also make his introductory remarks, things that he has seen already in the ecosystem, the changes that he's beginning to see amongst his startups, the portfolio, what are the kinds of areas in which he's actually offering them help, and some insights regarding that. And then what we'll do is we'll open it up for questions from you. Somewhere along the way, we'll also stop just to get your feedback so that we have good feedback to continually improve the webinar experience for each and every one of you. So with that, I will get started and I'll give you a good quick sense of THub. So THub, is I think a lot of people understand THub from the various different things that is done. Social media, we are quite active, so you get some tweets and you get to see some LinkedIn posts and Facebook posts. So people have some glimpses of what THub is. But as you can imagine, we are an organization that is continually evolving, and so I want to give you who we are today and what our aspirations are in being part of this ecosystem. So first of all, THub is a public-private partnership with the government of Telangana, and we are a combination of the government side. We also have a lot of industry partners that are part of the THub organization, and also we have VCs who are on the board. So this is how we have constituted our board and our leadership team and the advisory team. So these people have put this together with the primary purpose of creating a very vibrant startup ecosystem in the state of Telangana and also in India largely. So a lot of the primary work that we do is around startups, but startups are going to feed off of all the benefits that are coming from the rest of the ecosystem. So we work with innovation across the board. We work with the government, in terms of innovation. We work with industry in terms of innovation. We work with academia with terms of innovation, and all that. And investors, of course. So all of these are players that ultimately make the startups extremely successful. So that's where we take a very holistic approach. So if THub has to be described as an organization, we are an innovation hub. We are not an incubator. We are not an accelerator. We are not a corporate innovation team. We are an innovation hub where anything regarding innovation will happen there. And the three components that we have is the startup innovation. So where we have all the way from incubation, acceleration, scaling, all programs. So you name it, and your entire journey, you can look to THub to provide you some kind of a support, and make sure that you are continuing to grow. The corporate innovation is where we work with a lot of the industry partners so that they can actually become conversant with startups and open up to collaborations with startups. And that's what we do as part of the corporate innovation. So they will come in, they will provide POC opportunities, problem statements that startups can work on, or create new products, and so on and so forth. So that's the demand generation piece that we do a lot of, so that startups can actually get demand locally within India, and don't necessarily have to look for demand elsewhere. So here is a ready-made demand that we are trying to create. So imagine if there is a multi-billion-dollar corporate activity already happening within India. If we were to increase that, or given even 3% increase in their capabilities through innovation, how much opportunity that would open up for you as startups. And then finally, we do a lot of work in terms of you know uh, ecosystem building. So we have a very large pool of mentors, we have a large pool of investors, and we have a lot of activities that relate to capacity building. So we help other incubators build out their capacity to nurture startups within their ecosystem. So all of this work is done under THub. I just wanted to give you a quick view of the webinar series that we are doing today. So just give me a second there. Can you see my screen? Jayant, you can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So that
Yes, Ravi, we can see the screen. So just hide the bar at the bottom.
yeah. Okay. So we have a very okay. There you go. Okay. So we have a whole bunch of areas where we do webinars. I just wanted to give you a sense. So one is about handling the hard times. The lots of things are happening. Lots of startups are on the ropes, looking for help. So we're basically telling them, how it has been. This has happened in the past, and we would like you to know that this is something that will also pass. So existential crises is what we handle in the first set of webinars. The second set of webinars is where we are trying to make you a little bit more lean and mean. There are lots of very good project management methodologies, cash management methodologies that we want to share with you, so that you can run your businesses and get through this crisis. And then we also do a lot of plan B, as in, whatever happens post this COVID crisis, the normal that we're going to enter is not going to look like anything that we entered the crisis in. So that normal is gone. There is no way that we will go back to that normal. We will go to a completely different normal. And the more you can sense what those new changes are, the new possibilities for your startups are, the better off you are. Because as soon as the gates open, you will be the first one out of the gates, and you can take full advantage of what's going on there, and really build your organizations to the next level quickly. So whoever were your competitors, maybe they are gone by the time we come out of the crisis. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to really get your sensors up, and then sense all these changes and get ready for it. And the last one is what we're doing today is an ask me anything kind of so there is just for you to connect with people in the ecosystem, people who have been there, done that, who not only do what they need to do with their particular organization, but have a much broader, view of what's going on, and also feel that they are stakeholders in making India's ecosystem successful. And that's where people like Samir have been doing this for the longest time, and they continue to do that. So that's the kind of sessions that we are doing as part of the webinars. So with that, I will stop. There are lots of things we've already done in the past. we will continue to do as we go along. But this is great work, and we also just want to point you to the mentor hours. There are lots of mentors that are now spending one-on-one time with our startups. So in case you want to have one-on-one sessions with the mentors, please do reach out to us as well, and we'll try and arrange that, because a lot of this will be very high level, very broad, because we want to address all of you at the same time. But if you need one-on-one, please do reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and I will ask Samir to address you. Samir, are you there?
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the introduction as well. And hi, everybody. I'm Samir Kumar. I'm with a firm called Inventus India. We are an early stage tech focused venture capital fund, been operating for the last since 2008, so 12 years. So let me get going with my initial remarks. But as Ravi said, the main objective is to take questions. So I have a few opening remarks which I'll make. The first, which you may have heard, um, I have white hair, as you can see. I don't know the color of your hair because I'm not able to see the participants, but I have seen multiple downturns. And I have to say that I haven't seen anything like this. So I was part of the 99 2000 .com boom and bust. I was part of the 2008 2009 financial meltdown. We saw a slight, compared to these two, it was nothing, but 2013 14, the slight slowdown in investments, and now this. The reason why this is different is that no one really understands. This virus is new. No one really understands what is happening, why it's happening, how long it will continue, when will a vaccine come, when will things get back to normal. In all the previous crises, I was never asked to stay at home. I haven't ventured out of my house for the last n number of days since 25th. And actually, we've been working from home for almost a week before that. This has never happened in my life. So, given all this, this is a time when we really don't know uh, the whole contours of how this will play out. But given that, so with that, very dire sort of introduction, and I don't want this to be dire because I'm a diehard optimist. Like Ravi said, this too will pass. This has to pass. It will pass sooner rather than later. The issue is how will the world look like when we come out on the other side. So just a few things that we are doing with our portfolio companies. Obviously everyone is looking at how you can ensure that you're alive when you come out on the other side. So if you have cash, we're asking them, even the cash rich ones that have just raised a lot of money, that conserve it. You don't know when, how long this will last, when things will come back to normal and things like that. So you have to cut. The issue in cutting is where's the balance? If you cut too little, you won't be around on the other side when things come back. If you cut too much, then you're not investing for the time when things come back, and you will take a long time to scramble when things come back. And the issue really is it's so easy to say what I'm saying, but nobody knows when things will come back. So you have to keep tuning your cuts, your strategies, your plans. This is not a time for plan A, plan B. I saw plan B on Ravi's deck. This is a time for plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that's what we are telling our startups. There is no one single formula. So we have chosen not to send out a general mailer to all our startups. Each one has to react to this situation differently. They have to look at things on a weekly basis and see what they have to do. We have one startup where we have a cardiologist, an actual doctor and practicing doctor who's one of the founders of that startup. He's seeing this whole uh, uh, pandemic from very close quarters. He's been asked to get on to standby in the hospital where he practices, although he's not an infectious diseases doctor. So he is taking a very pessimistic view, and understandably so. And our guidance to him has been, yes, you need to cut, but I think you're cutting too deep. So, we are hand holding him as to maybe you shouldn't cut so deep. These are not the things you should be doing right now. Let's give it another 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And of course, we'll implement plan B, C, D as things go on. And to others, we are saying, hey, don't be so optimistic. Don't be so rosy. Cut, because if this takes longer than some of us think, then you want to be alive on the other side. So I think that's really what has been the current guidance to our startups. The other thing we are asking people to ask this question is, when things come back, will the market for my product or service change? For instance, if work from home becomes a strong trend, then someone, we are seeing and hearing opportunities for things like AirMeet, Zoom, and so on, and a lot more tools will be required if people start working from home. But if I was a player playing in the ecosystem of bringing people to work at office or supplying them stuff when they were at office, and if work from home becomes a very prevalent trend where 20, 30, 40% of the workforce stops coming to office, then what does it do to my products or services? And that's something that we are asking our startups to look at. And this is just one example of work from home. If social eating, going out to restaurants, going out to clubs, hanging out becomes less, I don't think anything will go away. I don't think all of us will permanently work from home. I don't think people will never go to restaurants. I don't think people will never fly, never travel, never this. I don't think that will happen. But there will be a change in this behavior from what we used to see. And we're asking startups to keep a watch on the situation and make sure that if your markets are going away, then what do you need to do so that when things return to normal, you have something that you can offer viably to the market. I think we are also telling them to communicate and over communicate with their employees. Not everyone has conducive work environments at home. People are worried. I'm getting my salary this month. Will I get it next month? Will I be on the payroll? Will I not be on the payroll? Of course, all have got taken salary cuts. Salary cuts have varied in percentages, but we're asking them to communicate to employees so that when things come back, people are not demotivated and depressed. And the last thing that we are telling people is look out for new opportunities. So certainly, one of our startups in the which makes toys has seen a huge surge in demand because people are now at home. People want to buy. Kids are at home. People want their kids to be occupied, so they are buying these educational toys. So there is a segment of startups. There's an online learning startup. Online education is becoming a big thing. Tools for online education will see a big uptick. So we're asking people to keep an eye on these things to see that if you are in a place where demand is going to increase, then how do you make sure you capitalize on that? So with that, I'll end my initial remarks and take questions, I guess.
Hey, Jayant.
Hey, Ravi.
Do you have
We
any
have
questions
we
already
have
on the
one
chat box?
raised hand till now.
Okay.
We have one raised. We have Prapun Kumar, who I'm going to just patch in.
Okay.
Hey, Prapun. Hey, Prapun, you can
Yeah,
ask
you
your
can
question now.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, Prapun.
Hello. Hi. I'm Prapun. I'm from Visakhapatnam. My first question is, how do we take this particular situation or consider uh, about the runway? Should we focus on the runway or the innovation part? Because there are a lot of things which I have to start from the beginning. Because initially, the product, whatever we thought, is completely different from what the current is. So, how should we prepare ourselves? And financially, where should we go for the support? Is it like family and friends? I mean, because everyone are also financially a little bit uh, concerned at this point of time. So who are the angel or seed investors where we can reach? And we are from a individual founders, like individual founders means we are not part of any incubation or anything. So what is the best way and how to reach and how to share our journeys, and our journeys in the means the work which I have done so far from the last 2 years, testimonials, these all things. What is the best methodology, Samir?
Samir, you want to start?
Yeah. So your first question was, what should I choose between a runway or innovation?
Yeah.
I think the answer to that is really simple. You can innovate as much as you want, but if you're not alive, then that innovation doesn't matter. So
Exactly.
runway is extremely critical. Whatever cash you have, figure out how you can make it last for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, assuming that this thing will prolong. And if it doesn't prolong, of course, you can, restart all your innovations and things like that. But obviously, I don't know what your product or service is. I don't know what you've been doing for 2 years, and what change it will require. But if you're seeing your market disappear, then I think you will have to start afresh and rebuild. If you're seeing a market emerge for your products, like I mentioned, online education, in health tech, there are going to be a lot of things. One of our startups, which makes a cooler for two-wheeler helmets, is repurposing that device to become a PPE, personal protective equipment for medical professionals, and so on. So if the market improves, then of course utilize your cash to innovate, but make sure that you don't innovate so much that your runway runs out. Coming to who you should look at for raising money, um, all investors are not closed. Yes, we've just on 2nd or 3rd April, so whenever that was, put in money into a fresh investment. So we've just done our 6th investment from the new fund less than 10 days back. And we have a term sheet where we'll put in the money in another 2, 3 weeks. We are not backing off from any term sheet. I think there are many investors who are honoring term sheets, looking for new opportunities. We clearly are looking for new opportunities. But I think at this point in time, uh, we are a little slow on new opportunities because we ourselves don't know how long this thing will last. What is the backup we need to keep for our portfolio companies? So we are balancing all that. We're taking a week by week look at the situation to see which companies need bridges, how much, when will the next rounds for them happen. Many companies were in the process of talking to investors. Investors who haven't given term sheets have stalled. In fact, investors who've given term sheets have also withdrawn term sheets. We can question whether that's a good or not a good practice, but that's not the purpose of this forum. So you should go and talk to investors. People will see this as a good opportunity to make investments. I'm sure that you will be flexible on valuations for people who have money and are looking to invest in your space. So you should not stop doing what you need to do, but keep your runway.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, the current term sheets which you are currently processing, is it by reference mode, or else how did they reach for you if it is in your case?
These are cases that were going on for 2, 3 months, and both of them were through references.
Oh, references. So how should we gain references? Any suggestions on that?
So
So if an yeah, go ahead, Ravi.
yeah, so just to give you a sense, you asked about the this thing, the runway and this one. So obviously, I would suggest that you focus on the runway because of where you are in your journey, from what I can tell. Because as Samir said, it is important for you to understand what what is the new normal going to look like, which we don't all have a sense of. Even the investors will probably bet more on you and your innovativeness rather than the innovation at this point in time. And therefore, we'll say, well, let's see. So the as Samir was saying, if you are further along, you have a much better clarity of what that product is and what that service is. Obviously, you will innovate for that very quickly because you have been in this market, you understand this very viscerally, and so on. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is you said about how do you raise money if you need to raise money. Obviously, whatever you applies generally as in equity being the most expensive of your capital raise, if you will. If there are other ways where you don't have to give away equity, and there are some schemes coming out now uh, across the banks and so on and so forth. So it is something that you should look at. SIDBI is also announcing something. So if you are eligible for any of these things, definitely that should be a focus for you to see how to extend the runway so that you are better and better understanding of what is it that the future brings to you, and therefore you are completely prepared to make that happen. The question that you asked about references, obviously, if you know some people who knows Samir, great. That's a great reference to begin with. But if you don't know, then don't be an individual founder as you described yourself. Be part of a network, an ecosystem, be part of an incubator locally in your city or something. They will bring you the network and therefore also make the introduction for you that will create the connect. Now there is no guarantee that you will be successful just because of the reference that has been a strong one. It is just that it opens up the conversation for you. So obviously, you can do very, very well if you have a great product or your great customer testimonials or a lot of great pipeline in your sales. But references only just open the door for you, nothing much, nothing more than that. Samir?
Got it. Yeah. Thanks, Ravi.
Great.
Thanks, Prapun. Thanks, Prapun, for your question. We're going to move on to the next one. It's from Amit Mehta, co-founder of Elevar Systems.
Hey, hi, hi, Samir.
Amit.
Hi. So, well, Ravi, you know me. So, of course, quick to Samir. So, I am basically a co-founder at a health tech startup, basically a voice bot that we did for lifestyle management. Of course, while this is going on, the whole COVID-19, I'm also talking to a lot of folks in the US, especially doctors and all. So, I'm beginning to feel and see a lot of requirement for telemedicine. And the reason I'm asking this question is because in your portfolio, Samir, I've seen a couple of health tech companies, including Tricog and Healthify Me. So the question that I have is telemedicine, virtual consult going to be the thing of the future, or is it something like a next 6 month story and then everybody's back to face consults and stuff like that?
So, Amit, obviously, I'm going to give you my point of view, and please keep in mind the caveat that I'm not a healthcare expert and so on. And this pandemic I haven't seen before, so I'm also thinking and playing. I mean, I'm certainly not somebody who's an expert on predicting the future, but our sense is that some ways of living our lives are fundamentally going to change. Face-to-face consults will never go away. Work from home for 100% of us as a permanent thing is never going to happen. That I can say emphatically with a never. But what percentage of face-to-face consults uh, will a percentage of face-to-face consults be replaced by teleconsults? My belief is absolutely yes. People will go out to see a doctor only if there's an absolute need to go out to see. So in the health tech space, I think there are going to be phenomenal opportunities. Teleconsulting, virtual consulting, telemedicine, the Tricog type, if you've seen Tricog, the Tricog type of opportunities, the other applications of AI in diagnosis, clinical diagnosis, sick tuple, and others, they're going to see a big surge in the opportunities. Our job as investors, your job as an entrepreneur is to go talk to 100 doctors, see what they say about virtual consult, get their opinions, talk to medical staff, talk to hospitals, form your opinion based on what they tell you. As a good entrepreneur, that's the way you'll identify the opportunity. As a good investor, our job is to identify good entrepreneurs like you who've identified the opportunity and back you.
Sure. No, I'm actually, in fact, talking to a breast surgeon, surprisingly, and she's wanting to do virtual consults and stuff like that. And so that's kind of opening up a bunch of thought process at our end. Anyways, I'm kind of proceeding with that because I think e-consult, virtual consult is going to be there, but I was just double checking with you.
My view also is it's going to be there and will remain and will grow.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Amit. We'll move on to the next question. We have Vishwaja. Hi, Vishwaja. Your question, please.
Oh, no. Wait, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. She doesn't seem to want to ask the question live. We have a couple of questions in the questions tab, which I'm going to translate for the speakers. First is from Shashi K. Reddy. How do we handle churn in this difficult time? Should we start offering freebies for 6 months to a year to retain the customers? Did we get the question, Ravi and Sami?
Yes, I got it. I think the question was, how do I handle churn in my customer base, and should I give freebies to keep customers? So I think if customers are not buying, freebies are not going to help. You should be prepared for a significant revenue drop from your current customers. So, for instance, we have a company that transports people to office and back. Obviously, if people are not being transported to office and back, the customers are not going to pay. Neither are the customers going to churn. In fact, they had a very positive experience when they went back to their customers end of March after the lockdown. Many of their customers paid them dues that were due 30 days hence. So they were due on 30th April. They said, as a startup, we understand the issues you are facing. We are Google. We are, the world's largest financial corporation. We are not. We have enough cash. They paid them. They paid them 30 days in advance. Freebies to a customer like this is not going to help. But these guys won't churn away either, because if the requirement of your product or solution is critical, customers may pause buying today, but they will come back and buy later. So I don't think you need to give freebies. Freebies will only depress your margins and lower your runways. But
Okay.
let me just add that there is a possibility that your customer himself is facing great crisis and pressure, which is a reality. I mean, if your customer is in the real estate sector, there's going to be a massive crisis. Now, to keep him from churning, you will have to work out, rework your pricing and so on and so forth, such that it makes sense to you and makes sense to him. So the answer really has to be sector by sector. If your customers are severely impacted by this pandemic, then I think you will need to rework pricing to make sure that they can continue to be your customers and continue to pay you.
Can I just add to that?
Thanks, Samir. I hope so.
Yeah, so Shashi, I would say, in addition to what Samir just mentioned, is that this is also a very good opportunity for you to really see the reality in itself. So, there must have been a time when you got the first set of customers, and then you continue to sell more, and you got more customers at a different price, and so on and so forth. And you have now multiple customers who probably are paying different prices and different volumes, and so on and so forth. It's also very possible that because of um, the crisis now, you will see a lot of them wanting to go away. So a lot of times, what happens for most of our entrepreneurs is they feel that if they give a discount, people will continue to come to them, or if they give them free, they will somehow be engaged with. But really, it is much more, I think, deeper than that. It is not about just the pricing or the discounts that will keep them engaged. It is really going back to the basics and saying, do you really have this demand, and am I creating value through my product to you? And if that is the case, then obviously they will find a way to work with you. They may not pay you because of the realities of today, but they will continue to work with you nevertheless. At the same time, if they feel that it is moving away from the real demand that they had originally thought about, and they were willing to pay a certain amount of money, and that demand is going away, the demand is going to go away, and there's nothing that can do by giving them discounts to have them still be a day, to you for that demand to be satisfied.
I hope that answers your question, Shashi. We'll move on to the next question. We have another raise hand. Is Maurya Krishna.
Uh, hey, thanks, Jayant. Hey, Ravi. Hey, Samir. No, that was so insightful. Uh, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Samir, I have a question. So, we are into edutech platform. So, during this time, we are seeing a spike with respect to our growth. So, what do you think would be the trend after this pandemic situation is settled down? So, will what we are assuming is that people will be more, inclined towards online education. and there might be a chance for us to grow then also. So will it be the same, or once the pandemic settles down, will people resort back to their traditional learning? So I just want to understand this trend.
So I'll share my thoughts, and again, the caveat: these are my thoughts. I'm not
Mm,
sure I'm necessarily right,
mm,
but my view is that education was the toughest sector to penetrate for technology companies. They
mm,
were old-fashioned; they refused to change, etc., etc. And now you've seen the sudden spurt in online education. They've been forced to it. I mean, campuses are shut, schools are shut, but education needs to go on. And my own sense is that having tasted technology and borrowing a little from what Ravi said earlier to the earlier speaker or questioner, if your online education stuff delivers real value to the customers, for you, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You are getting traditionally obstinate, I'm using that word very loosely, obstinate customers. They're being forced to test your technology and try out your technology. And if you have something compelling, I see no reason why, having tasted something good, people will shun it. If it adds value to them, and it should, in my head, online education adds tremendous value. There's so much more you can do. You can give individualized education, personalized education, rapid assessments, real-time assessment. I mean, 100 things that you can do with technology in education. Having tasted that, I don't see educational institutes going back. This is not to say that classroom education will stop, but it will be significantly supplemented, in my view, with online education. Ravi, you can add.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I echo what Samir is saying. There is a lot of inertia in education, especially in India. There is even more so because so much is predicated. Your life depends on how you do in exams and how you score in exams. So much happens around that. So a lot of people do not want to give up something that has been working for them for such a long time. Here is a trigger through which a lot of these people have been now forced to try out various things. But if you really look at some of the other things that have been happening already, and even though your principal and your teachers will agree with you in principle that that is indeed happening, but they themselves are not changing their behavior. Now you're beginning to see that the behavioral change is happening. So what are the things they are seeing? They're seeing that the uh, the workforce of tomorrow is not going to have one career or one set of skills that will set them up for the rest of their lives. They will have to continually learn, continually change their careers, as often as every 2 years or every 3 years. It's so quickly technology and the requirements of a workplace will be so demanding that they have to continually learn to keep up with the demands and therefore make a living or do what they need to do. So that's going to continue to be there. So that is one thing that you will see. The second thing that you will see is that um, education is going to start changing from being pushed to students, especially the K through 12 kind of a thing, to actually being pulled by the students and more so towards the later stages of their lives. Why? Because they will have to uh, work on certain assignments or projects that their teachers themselves may not be fully equipped to provide them guidance on. They can give the core principles, but if you are looking to solve a particular problem using or do a certain project, the peripheral information will come from today the internet, but not everything on the internet is absolutely reliable. So you do need some kind of an intermediary to be able to deliver those supplemental pieces, and that could come from very reliable sources like a Coursera or a Udemy, and also have some people associated with them. So a lot of the education will start also coming from a pull system rather than a push system, which is what we have been doing traditionally up until 12 for sure. Sometimes even in college, we do a lot of push system as well. So those are trends that are happening. So maybe now there is a lot more openness to going down that path, because anyway that is something that people will have to deal with going forward. Now that they have been untethered from the normal.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Maurya. We have three more raised hands. Now, Pratik Madhav.
Can you,
Hey,
hi, can
Pratik.
you hear and see me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Morning, Ravi. Morning, Samir. Samir, I lead an initiative called Assistive Technology Accelerator. So we are an accelerator helping disability-focused startups. In fact, I met you along with Ravi in Parag. So Ravi has been instrumental in setting up ATA, and he helps us on many things. Uh, My question is, see, I know the issues and the difficulties it's the situation is bringing to all the startups, but what are the opportunities the situation is bringing? So are business models getting evolved? Are pricing models getting more tuned? Are products evolving better in terms of tech and otherwise? So what are some of the examples you're seeing how startups are using this situation as an opportunity? So your thoughts?
So, I can only give anecdotally what I'm seeing in my portfolio companies. One of them, which runs a mission critical 24 by 7 real time sort of stuff, they told me that this is a great opportunity. Customers are not using their product, so their revenues have come to zero. They are finding this a great time to try out different things which they could never try out earlier. The risk of pushing something onto a production platform, even after thorough testing, was very high and things like that. So they're doing a lot of innovation at this point in time, a lot of things that were pending, cleaning up of the systems, etc., which they were very hesitant to touch because of disruptions to their customers' schedules. They are beginning to do all that right now.
Sure.
Some of our other startups which are actually benefiting from this uh, pandemic, for example, we talked of online education and things like that. So they are trying out different ways of putting content, smaller size content, larger size content, a lot of experimentation at this point in time, because customers are asking for their stuff and they can get actual real time feedback, etc. So I think each startup will find a different opportunity. I think opportunity will be there for everybody, even startups in the travel space, where again travel has become zero, right? No airlines, no taxis, no trains, etc., are figuring out utilizing this time to think ahead of if things, the scenario planning. So this is more on the business side, not on the tech side. If things emerge like this, then maybe these are the things we can do. If things emerge in a different way, then maybe these are the things we can do, etc. So it's a good time, forced pause, forced introspection time, forced time to think. And many of them are doing it in different ways, whether it's tech, whether it's business models. Those who are benefited are looking at different ways to experiment quickly. Those who are hurt are looking at different scenarios when things come back. So startups are agile, and I think that's why they are startups.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just to add to that,
Thanks, Pratik. Ravi.
yeah. So I think I don't know if you noticed this or not, Pratik, but Samir made a very important statement. He said opportunities are waiting for everyone.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing. One, obviously, it's very optimistic because everybody's thinking, "Oh shit, my market is going away." But no, I think as I was saying the other day, it is going to be a new normal. Don't assume that you're going to go back to where things were in the past. It is going to be different. The one that reads the opportunity for yourself faster, is able to react to it faster, are going to be the winners. So that's a very important thing. So all of them are going to have new opportunities. The only question is, okay, do you have a ready-made product that can be repurposed for that, or is it a new, just a business model that needs to be tweaked a little bit, or pricing to be changed in a certain way? That's what you're beginning to think of, or is it a complete shift in the way you want to go about doing it, and so be it. So one of my personal examples that I have shared in the past is that the startup that I was doing, the entire market went away. Just overnight, it went away. But and here we were sitting on, a technology that we had built with, having spent $10 million. And then we had to go back to the basics and say, okay, where does this make sense? Or what is it that we see in the market that we have already got relationships with, so that we can have discussions with those people, understand what they're thinking today, what is it that they are most worried about, that or things that they need to solve ASAP. And then we went back and said, okay, if that is the solution, then what I have today solves only 30% of that. So the rest of the 70% I have to figure out some way. And that's what, if you can do that sooner than later, obviously you are going to be, very, very successful. If it is doing already 80% of what you want, or maybe 100% that just needs to be tweaked in a very different way, so be it. I think this is a huge opportunity. And for me, as a big fan of the Indian ecosystem, I think if our Indian entrepreneurs who are great problem solvers also use this as an opportunity to go past a lot of the competition that is in the global forum, this is it. This is the time to do it.
No, thank you. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, one last comment, but thanks for your input, Samir and Ravi. I mean, I can see in as difficult space as ours, which is disability tech. Earlier, startups were doing, which are doing more brick and mortar physical products, and now trying to deliver. So this one startup, Factopus, is now moving to digital delivery of their content to people with disability, which is visual and intellectual disability. So they are doing now community-based digital delivery of their product, which probably they haven't thought of, earlier, or probably they thought of but were never tried that. So they are moving away. So I agree with you guys that it's an opportunity for everyone. But thank you so much for your inputs.
Thanks. We have two more questions on raise hand, but I'd like to take this opportunity to actually get everyone to fill our feedback form, because it's really important to us that you fill this feedback form so we can have better sessions in the future. So we're just going to give you 1 minute. I've put the link in the chat window, so we're just going to pause for exactly 1 minute. So please go in and fill that feedback form in this 1 minute, and we'll do the remaining questions after that. There's the QR code as well.
Jan, can you see how many people have filled out?
I'm trying to take a look, Samir.
That was Ravi.
Sorry. I think that's enough time. I will just tell you how many people filled in a minute.
Sure, no problem. I just wanted to get a sense before we
the
go
next
back.
question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So now we have Ramesh from Smart Hiren.
Hi, Ramesh.
Hey, Ramesh, can you hear us? Oh, he doesn't seem to
Am
be
I audible?
on. Oh, we have him. Sorry, Ramesh. Can you just raise your hand again? We'll take your question at the end. We have Prapun again, who seems to have a follow-up question. Seems to be some issue with connection. On the Shuffle.
Hi, good morning. I'm Prithviraj from Shuffle. We are a cloud kitchen startup. We just started to go 9 months ago. So, bootstrapping and setting up everything, it took us a lot of time to understand the certain markets in the industry right now. But we were successful in some part where we tried to achieve some traction in our model. But as we were developing our platforms towards customers and approaching marketing efforts. Now there's this situation there where everybody has to work from home or we can't even get out. As a cloud kitchen startup, I can't work from home. So this thing is completely turning out to be like we've just bootstrapped. And this situation is forcing us to kind of stop everything we're doing and keeping things aside. But we also see the opportunity that comes out of this pandemic situation where previously we were only thinking about relying on aggregators to put out our products. But we've also developed our own platforms which we can serve customers through, which we can create a personalized experience. But um, the whole situation is turning upside down. We are being a little skeptical about uh, how things might turn out. Everybody has a point of view of how it's going to turn out after the situation. So, how it might really affect or how it can really help us into get out of that situation and overcome this cloud kitchen space. That's what I was wondering about.
So, let me give it a shot, but I should say that cloud kitchens is something I don't understand. I would have intuitively thought that cloud kitchens would find this a very good opportunity because a lot of us are sick and tired of cleaning vessels at home and cooking food at home, and therefore are looking to order out and so on. And at least in Bangalore, where I live, they have given passes to essential service. This is an essential service: food production, groceries, and all are essential services. They've given food passes to all essential. I mean, curfew passes to all essential service employees. And so, I'm surprised that you are not able to cook your food or get it delivered. But I don't have any more comments beyond this.
We're facing this. It's not because this is a situation we can't use it to our benefit, but as a small startup where our workforce is a little limited, they're also forced to, stay at home or just go to their uh, what we call their regular places of living. Even they are so worried to come out and work inside a kitchen space, which will also might affect them, is what they're thinking. I mean, it might not be the situation, it might be the situation, even they are in some kind of dilemma. So it's kind of forcing us to also stay at home and see how is going to pan out and see what's going to happen.
Okay.
Thanks.
Opportunity for
Thanks,
you.
Prithvi.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Prithvi,
Yeah,
can you just mute your mic? We seem to be getting some disturbance from your end.
Yeah, so Prithviraj, I think there is opportunity waiting for you on the other side, as we spoke earlier. How do you actually get through the next few days, next few weeks, is what you need to look at. Obviously, this is a model that will continue to, survive, evolve, and all that. So, what you do today is not necessarily a reflection of what will happen in the next month's time. So you have, practical difficulties at this point in time in actually executing your model. So that's something that you can't avoid. But should you come back, should you make it through this one, and I'm sure you will, you will definitely be in a much better position. You'll see a much better opportunity there.
So best bet could be, I'm sorry.
Thanks,
Yep.
Prithvi.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
We have Ramesh again. Oh, and Ravi, we have about 29 people who filled the survey, so I think that's a decent number compared to last time.
Yeah, this strategy works, huh? Hey, Ramesh. Hey.
Hi, Ravi, and how are you? Hi, Samir, how are you?
Hi.
I'm audible.
Yes. Hi.
Okay, great. So, hi. So, my points, like basically, we are a HR or HR tech startup, and then we started our journey 2 years back, and then we were actually B2B, B2C kind of platform. And then we pivoted based on our experiences into a B2B kind of startup. And then we were part of the T Angel program also. And then when we started our journey on the T Angel program, we were rising, that was for the raising the funds. And then we had at that point of time about 4 to 5 years of 4 to 5 months of runway. And then when we have started, and then we got the positive notes vibes from the TNGL program and also from the other institutes as well. And by the time when we were like supposed to look into those terms, and then the introductions with and discussions happening, and suddenly we were like got into this pandemic, and this is the situation. And now my point is, now I am running out of my runway. Now what is that I need to look at, how I should talk, continuing with the investors, how I should be dealing this with my team. And at the same time, like we are doing our right sizing as in our earlier some of the webinars, and then we are working on those areas. But given the situation at this point of time, what you see and how you think that from the investors perspective, how they are tech, like more primarily looking for the HR funds who are more interested in the HR technologies, and then because they understand the pain areas and then the solutions that we are working. So how do you see our the situations where we are, and how you feel that what we should be doing, and how the things will change for us in the once we see out of this situation?
So what is your runway now?
We are almost running close to zero now.
Oh. So that's a difficult situation, Ramesh. If you don't have a runway, then there's no, I mean, I don't know how you can extend the runway. Of course, take zero cash, negotiate with your landlord, maybe just put your company into cold storage for a month or so till things turn around. Or alternatively, if you have customers, ask them to pay up some advances to keep you going. And I mean, if you have investor dialogues, as I said, right in the, oh, I don't know what I can do to make myself better, but
No, I can hear you, Samir.
Is the Yeah, even I'm able to hear you clearly.
No, I think there's a lot of
Maybe if you could shut your video of Ramesh, probably that could help.
anyway, so what I'm saying is, you need to probably put your company into freeze, no expenses for a month or two till things turn around. That's one option. Second, talk to customers to see if they can pay you advances so that you have 1 or 2 months of possibility. Third, if you're talking to investors, accelerate the dialogue and see if they will, put in the cash that they either had promised or were promising, etc., etc. And if not, then I guess, and this is the unfortunate side of reality as well that we should all accept. Every startup doesn't succeed, and maybe this is the time to just figure out if there is a way out at all or there's no way out. I'm sorry that what I'm saying is a little dire, but
okay.
Ramesh, Ravi, you'd like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll just add to the last point that Samir made. So, T Angel has brought you in connection with a whole bunch of interested investors, from what I can tell from what you just said. I'm sure there are some investors who continue to believe in this space, continue to believe that you are the kind of person that they would like to invest in, so that you can take this thing forward. If that is the case, there may be other instruments that you could explore with them. It's not a straight equity investment that you are looking to make happen with them. Since they already know you quite well and they have evaluated you for that opportunity, maybe there is some other kind of a convertible instrument that you could explore with them. So you can talk to the T Angel team at THub and see if there are other possibilities that you can explore, and then they can help you with that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ravi. That helps me out. Yeah.
Thanks, Ramesh. Uh, I think it's 12:06, Ravi. We do have two more raise hands. And guys, really sorry if you're not able to take your question today. I do see quite a few questions in the questions tab. But since we're giving preference to the raise hands, I'm sorry if we
Can we
could not get to your
restrict it
question.
to?
We will try to.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
restrict it
we'll
to one
restrict it to
question maybe,
maybe.
and then we'll.
Sure. We have Subodh Gupta.
Very good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, this is Subodh Gupta. I'm the founder for Kari On-Site Solutions. We provide IT equipments on rent, actually. And with this COVID situation, our fraternity is very on a high peak demand situation. And here, the way of planning is the essential thing as an entrepreneur. The investments we are doing without any commas and full stops, and we don't know what will happen when the equipment is returned back to us, and the depreciation value is 60 to 70%, and the conditions of the product, and so can you throw some light on the future, or down the line in 6 months or 1 year, what could be the scenario, and where the industry may lead to?
So, Subodh, I'm not in a position to give you that answer of a year down the line, but what I'll try and do is give you pointers on how you can get that answer. So, what I heard you say is that you're seeing a peak demand for your products right now because I guess people are all working from home. They need computers at home. Their companies are hiring computers for them and things like that. Best thing to do is to talk to your customers. You seem to have a lot of customers. You seem to be currently servicing their demands. Scrambling to do it is what I interpreted you saying. You are really working hard to meet their demand. Talk to them and ask them this question and see what they have to say. uh, you know ask them if what their trends would be of working from home. Ask them 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, will you continue to hire my products? And just keep talking to your customers extensively in this period. You'll get answers that will help you. I don't know if we lost him in the middle or no, because
Yeah, I think we seem to have lost him, but he should still be able to hear us
okay,
on the actual feed, so we
okay,
can continue to answer his question.
I finished.
I think we do have more questions, but I think in the interest of time, we have to kind of close up. So, Ravi, any closing thoughts, and even Samir, any closing thoughts, and then we can, shut this session. Anyone whose questions are not answered, please contact Avinash. I'm putting his email ID down below. We should be able to help you offline.
So Samir, you want to start, and I will follow you.
Sure. So, I don't have too much in terms of closing remarks, but like Ravi paraphrased, I didn't know I'd said it. Every crisis throws up an opportunity. So, and there are opportunities for everyone, whether your business has become zero or whether your business has seen a peak demand because of this pandemic. Look for those opportunities and don't give up hope. Things will turn, things will pass. And like I heard my partner Parag saying yesterday, and he sort of twisted what Charles Darwin said, but it's not the fittest of the species that survive. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, which means it's not the fittest or strongest entrepreneurs. It is those who adapt to change the fastest. So be very alert, keep talking to your customers, keep picking up signals of what's happening in the market. Make sure you stay alive so that when the things start changing, you can capitalize on the new opportunities that get thrown up. And like Ravi said, there will be new opportunities. Don't get complacent that my market will not go away. There may be changes in my market as well. So be alert to that as well. But don't give up hope, would be my only last message.
Yeah, so I echo what Samir just said. So, as I said in the past, earlier rather, that it is something that we are committed to seeing you through this journey. You're not in this alone. We want to be there to help you, one, think through what you need to do, get access to the resources that we know is available, and unfortunately you may be ignorant of. So we're happy to pass that on to you. And there are multiple people like us, like Samir and I, who we can tap into to see if there are any specific questions that we can answer for you. So it's not like you're in this crisis alone. We are there with you to make sure that you get through this. We have seen this in the past, and we are still around to tell the tale. So I'm sure you will also have some good tales to tell about this particular phase of your lives. So please do keep up the spirit and tap into people like THub and our network to get whatever help you can, so that you can come out the other end stronger and fitter and much more successful, ready to be more successful. So good luck with everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ravi and Samir. If we could get a huge round of applause for both the speakers, because they've given us their valuable time to answer your questions. So hope to see all of you guys next week as well. I think we have a AMA session planned every week or every week or so, and we do have other webinars as well, as Ravi had mentioned. So please go to the THub website and check out what the other upcoming webinars are. You for sure you'll find something that is relevant to your current situation. So thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Samir. We're going to close the session now.
Thanks, Jayant, and thanks, Ravi, for inviting me here. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.